Welcome to Even Odds, and today we're painting a little bit more. Hey everyone, it's just me again today. We just got back from vacation, so we're filming a bit more, playing a little catch up with work. So just me for today on the painting. Carly will be back on the next one. All right, so last time we talked about painting, we painted up our Gene Steeler here, and we did base coats and we did washes or shades. Today, and if that's all you do on your models, they're going to look fine. Like if you look at this guy, he looks great, you know. But if you really want to take your painting and your miniatures up to the next level, there's two really easy techniques that I'm going to show you today that are going to really make them pop. And those are layering and dry brushing. Both are pretty easy, and they're going to really take things up to the next level. So, what are they? So layering, it's just that. It's taking another paint and putting down a layer of that paint on top of previous work. So for example, I have purple as a color on my Gene Steeler here. And so what I'll do, I'll take a lighter purple color and I'll layer it onto that first purple, focusing on raised areas to really bring those details out. Okay, we'll do that. I'll show you a bit of layering with a steel color to go over top of our kind of metal gray, and maybe do the same also with this lighter brown onto the boots and gloves and that sort of thing. And then dry brushing, and you can do layering with any sort of brush. I'm going to just use the same exact brush that I used last time to put down the base coats, to put down the layers, mainly because I'm not super concerned with being amazingly intricate in my detail here. You can get a much finer brush and use that, and that's fine too. It's just not my bag for just a Gene Steeler like this. I might get a super fine brush and use that to do like on my leader, for example, to make him really stand out. Then dry brushing, what I'll do is I'm just going to take a white and dry brush over where I put all of that Seraphim Sepia shade, just to pull back out the highlights on the clothing. Okay, so and what you need to do that, you need a brush here. This is an Army Painter brush, a small dry brush. Now dry brushes, you'll see, and I'll show you a close-up too, you'll see it's a different style brush. It's kind of like flat, and you want that so that way you can really get good coverage, and I'll show you a bit more about dry brushing when we get into it. But you'll need, you don't have to have specifically a brush that says dry brush on it, but you'll need one that is kind of like a more flat bristled brush, and one that you're not going to mind messing up, because once you start using a brush to dry brush, it's not going to be any good for detail work after that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let's get right to it. All right, so here we are. We got our model all set up and ready to go. We've got our wet palette again back here. We've got our paints. We've got our paper towel, and of course our brushes. All right, so let's talk, you know what, let's do the dry brush first, because I feel like it's kind of, dry brushing can be a bit messy, and so you kind of want to do that first, or last, depending on the effect you're going. For example, if you're trying to rust up metals, you might do all your detail work and then do a dry brush to weather it and go from there. So let's just talk about the brush really quick. Here's the dry brush I have. Like I said, it's just a Army Painter small dry brush. You'll see it's kind of flat, and the brush is stiff a little bit. Okay, so what that's going to allow us to do is we'll get paint on it, And then we're just going to take it and just drag it across these areas, okay, just to pull things out. All right, so to do that, we're going to take our paint. This is the ceramite white. We take our brush, or we take our paint here, and we dip it in there, all right, and we get plenty of it on our brush, all right? Now, what you want to do is take a paper towel and actually dab the brush on the paper towel until almost all the paint is gone off of the brush, okay? That's why it's called a dry brush, all right? And what you want to do to test if you've got your brush right is you want to take your hand like this and just see, now that's too much paint. If you drag your bristles across lightly, it should just be coming up nice and just very lightly. So I actually might have just wiped off all the paint that I needed to get. So if it's like this, too much paint. If it's like that, that's what you're looking for. All right, so now we'll take the model, we'll take our dry brush, and we'll just lightly go over. All right, and you'll see as I'm doing it, what it's doing is it's catching all those raised areas and leaving some of that shade behind. Okay. All right, so now we've got, let's see if we can get it to focus. There we go. Now we've got a little more visual interest on those areas of white. So we'll go here, so check out his sleeve there. Now we'll come in with our dry brush. And you see we get a little more detail there. Kind of pull out those sleeves. See again right here. Just enough to kind of pull out that interest. Okay. Now you'll see I did get a little bit of paint on my elbow pad there, but that's okay because we're going to go back over that. All right. So that's the basics of dry brushing. Nothing too fancy, but this technique, this dry brush technique, is going to be in your arsenal pretty much all the time when it comes to painting models. It's such a versatile technique, whether to layer up some shades like that, or to get a weathering effect on there. All right. So like always, just make sure to rinse out your brush real well afterwards. And there you go. That's dry brushing. Super simple, but you can already see how it's added quite a bit of difference there. Now let's talk about layering. Right, and like I said, we're just going to use our same brush there that we used last time. And what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on these purple areas here, okay? Focus on these purple areas, and we're just going to hit the raised edges, okay? So I'll start off with his tabard here. So we'll get a little bit of purple. Get it on our wet palette here. Here, let's get that. There we go. Get it on our wet palette, and just like before, we're going to take a little bit of water and just thin it out, okay? All right. Now, we'll come in here and we'll just focus on those raised edges. Okay. All right, and just like before, we'll just come in and really focus on those raised edges right there. Okay, so you can see a bit there how you can see a bit how it's pulled out that a bit. It's kind of maybe a little bit difficult to see. There you go. All right, So let's do like his elbow pad, for instance, okay? Maybe that one will be a bit easier to see. So we'll just come here and all right. So just hit those upward edges. Now his shoulder pad's popping a bit more. We'll do the same thing. Maybe we'll shift our light a bit here. Maybe that'll help. All right. So we'll do the same thing right here. All right. All right. So there you go. You can see a bit more now, just kind of like pulling those edges out of him there. All right. Just kind of giving you a bit more contrast. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do the rest of the model. We'll be right back. All right, so we've finished up there. He's all highlighted up. Now you can sort of see the purple a little bit better, where you kind of get a nice shadow effect there. All right, same thing on his elbow pads. I hit the top of his elbows just a bit, or the top of his shoulders, excuse me, with a brighter silver paint there, see? So you can really see his shoulder pad. I hit his boots, his gloves, and his pouches here with a little bit of a brighter brown just to pull the detail out of that a little bit more. Hit that little icon down on his tabard with a brighter silver, and yeah, there you go. So look, it's a pretty simple system, and there you go. I mean, it doesn't come through so well on the video, but he's got quite a bit more contrast on him in person there. I can see where I messed up his on there a little bit. I was a little sloppy with my paint work. But actually, there you go. You can see a good bit of the transition there from the top there, the top of his backpack area with the purple going down to his back, and then you know, basically his butt area there. You can see the color transition. So it kind of just looks like, you know, the light is hitting him a bit different there. Yeah, so that's it. All right, so there you go. He's looking a lot more dynamic now. I know it didn't really come through too much on the video. I could see it as I was filming it, but here in person, he really pops out quite a bit. I know for sure that the like the elbow folds and stuff was really coming through, probably because of the bright white, but the more subtle colors like the brown and the purple were kind of not really coming through as much. But you know, if you follow those steps in person, you're gonna see it, especially if you're doing this technique with more contrast in the paints. Where I went from a darker purple to a lighter purple, so it's a pretty subtle contrast until you're looking at it in person, and then you're really gonna notice it. So that's it, really. If you do those two things on your models, it's really gonna pop. Dry brushing is going to be an invaluable tool for as long as you're a painter. It really, really helps with pulling out details. And then layering, I think, is also it's the main technique I use, taking paints from a darker paint to a brighter paint. It's the main technique I use on my models, and I think they really pop. So there you go, guys. That's it. Just a real quick short one today, not a whole lot. We're going to be getting rolling soon on some battle reports for Kill Team. And we're also going to be doing some more hobby videos probably coming up. You can stay tuned for sort of a sit and chat style video with Carly and myself while we are, you know, painting up our minis for Kill Team here. And like I said, battle reports. There's some exciting expansions coming down the pipe, so you can believe we're going to be talking about that. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, give us a like there. If you want to keep seeing videos like this, hit that subscribe button. We'll be coming at you every Wednesday with Warhammer Wednesdays and something board game related on Tabletop Fridays. And, you know, if you have a painting technique you want to share, let us know in the comments, and we'll have a good conversation about it. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.